So in today's video, I want to talk about the law of attraction and losing weight specifically. So how you can use the law of attraction to attain the body that you've always wanted or lose the weight that you've always wanted. Now, as always in my channel, I'm not going to say to you that you need to visualize and that it's going to happen overnight or in the next 3 days or 30 days or whatever. My approach is more about getting actual results, because I think there's a lot of advice out there that might get you motivated. And I'm speaking from experience, not with losing weight. I've never really struggled myself with wanting to lose weight, but I've always been quite a skinny guy, and I've wanted to be the opposite, where I've wanted to be a bit bigger. So I've got my own experiences, but the law of attraction, as you all know, it doesn't only apply. There's not a certain technique that will apply to weight loss and a certain technique that will apply to money. So if you know how to generate money through the law of attraction, then you can apply that to actually lose some weight with the law of attraction, or attain any goal that you've always wanted. Now, there's a lot of obviously people out there that will give the advice and advocate for visualization. So they will say you need to visualize a slimmer version of yourself. You need to visualize being healthy. You need to see yourself get up in the morning at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock and go for a run. And you need to envision the healthy food just entering your body and how it makes you glow and how it makes you feel and all of those things. Or some people would say that you need to have this set goal and that you need to take a picture of a supermodel and then stick your own face on it and take that and stick it on the fridge and look at it every single day. And that will put you in a different mindset, and then you'll achieve your goal. And to me, that it might work for some people, but in my own personal experience, it's absolute rubbish. And that form of visualization will just set you up for failure. I mean, some of those videos are very motivational. They put the backtrack and the music and everything on, and it feels very empowering, and they show you what is possible, and you get into this almost state of fantasy land where you think that is the way to go, and that is what's going to work for me. And it might motivate you to actually get up that next morning and go for a run, but it's going to have this ebb and flow effect. And if you're watching this video, because I'm a bit late to generating content on the law of attraction and losing weight, so if you're stumbling upon this video and you're watching this video, then most probably you've watched a ton of other videos that might have alluded to a lot of those techniques that I've just mentioned. And the fact that you're watching this video means that you've either achieved that goal, but then reverted back to where you are at the moment, or to an unhealthy, unhappy lifestyle, or that nothing has worked for you in the past, and that's why you are watching this video. So the law of attraction, to me, doesn't bring you whatever you visualize. And I always say this, that you can't visualize your way into something else. Law of attraction brings you the vibration that you're in. And I know a lot of videos nowadays especially allude to the vibration, the frequency that you should be on. And that is absolutely 100% true in my experience. But it's the way it is explained. In my case, or how I want to explain it is, it's basically where you find yourself at, the space that you find yourself at. And I've mentioned this in my previous videos as well. It's basically you consistently finding yourself, or law of attraction bringing you scenarios that will reaffirm your unhappiness with your own body. And that's the main crux of this whole thing is, or of your struggle, is that you're doing it, you're hating on your own body, and you're hating your own body, and you're doing it for something else. You're doing it for that external validation, because you constantly find yourself within scenarios and situations where that unhappiness is reflected back to you, where people will say to you, like, make certain remarks. And it's important to realize that nobody actually cares about you or your weight. The fact that people will make comments about your weight or about your unhealthy lifestyle is because they're experiencing a lack in their own lives. And it might not be with regards to health or weight. In fact, in most cases, those will be the people that actually are happy with their own weight and their own health. But they are experiencing some form of lack in another area of their lives, and that's why they feel the need to break you down, and to comment on why you're not achieving or doing the right things to live a healthy lifestyle. But in actual fact, they don't care about you, and they don't care about the type of lifestyle or your health. They don't care about that. Everybody cares about themselves, and they feel the need to lash out to you or make certain remarks or comments, because then they start feeling better about their insecurities and their lacks and limitations. So that's the first thing. So how do you get onto that frequency, that vibration of a slim version of yourself, or a skinny version of yourself? And the only way is to basically accept yourself who you are. And I know, again, there's a lot of videos out there that will allude to this, and that will not allude, but outright say that you need to accept yourself, and you need to let go of that outcomes. And once you let go of that outcomes, then it will happen for you. But if that's the case, if you're watching the video because you want to now find a way to actually say, what technique can I use, and can I let go? Or if I let go, then I'm going to be that version. Then you're on the wrong track, because then still you're doing it for somebody else. You're doing it for the outside world. You're doing it for that recognition or validation or the admiration that's going to, in your mind, come from losing the weight and looking better and looking healthier. So getting onto that right frequency is you having to accept the fact that you are different. You might be looking at magazines or social media or television, and you're idolizing a certain individual, a certain version, a certain body type, and you're saying, that is what I'm after, that's what I'm chasing, that's what I want to achieve, because then what is portrayed to you is then that person gets all the recognition, that person gets the admiration, and that person is attractive to the outside world. And that is what you want. That is what you've always wanted, right? Because you're feeling inadequate, because you're not enough. You don't get the validation. You don't get that attraction from maybe the opposite sex or the same sex or whatever appeals to you. So the main reason is you're doing it for some external validation, or so some external factor. And that's guaranteed to block the law of attraction, because what the law of attraction ultimately is whether you call it the law of attraction, or you call it God, or you call it the universe or spirit, or whatever you want to call it, or whatever it is to you, let's call it God. It's basically God trying to tell you that I've made you a certain way. I've made your personality a certain way, and you are defying that. You're trying to be somebody else that that did not intend for you to be. And that's why you're hating your own body. That's why because you're not that. And you're pushing against. So the law of attraction and God is the same thing, basically. It's trying to give you what is intended for you, what your creator intended for you, but you're trying to push against it. You're saying, I'm not happy with that. I'm going to now pursue something else. And consistently you'll find yourself in scenarios and situations where that is being reflected back to you, where that is shown to you, that makes you feel horrible, that makes you feel terrible, because it's universe or God that's trying to push you and say, stop trying to be somebody that you're not. Accept yourself who you are. And that's the most difficult part. People think it's difficult to go to the gym. If you're overweight by a good number of pounds or kilograms, you might think that, or you might feel within yourself that that's the most difficult part, is to find the motivation to get up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, go to the gym and actually work out. That's the easy part, because you can easily get the motivation to actually do that. You can easily, it's such an easy thing to actually do, to get up the next morning and start going to the gym or go for a run. That's the easy part, but that's not what you should be focusing on. And I'm not advocating for living an unhealthy lifestyle, but I'm advocating for accepting who you are. And that's a difficult part. That's the part where people struggle with, because they've idolized and they've become this personality that's always pushing to become a different version, yet not realizing that once they let go of who they think they need to be for the outside world, that's when the magic actually happens. That's how the law of attraction or God or whatever it is happens for you, because it's always happening for you. It's always trying to give you a a happy, fulfilled, healthy life. But if you're pushing against that, pushing against who you are supposed to be, that's when it's going to give you hardships and failures and all of those things, to try and get you to understand that you're not who you are supposed to be. You're trying to be something different or somebody different. You are wearing a mask almost, and you're not accepting yourself. So if you need to, the affirmations that you need to say to yourself is not the affirmations that a lot of these videos out there will say to you, that you need to say, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm skinny, I'm skinny, I'm skinny, I feel great, I feel great. Those are not the type of affirmations you should be telling yourself. The affirmations you should be telling yourself is that I am not that person. Yes, I admire that person. Yes, that person gets a lot of acknowledgement because they're on the cover of whichever popular magazine. They're on the forefront of like every social media post. They're on television. Yes, when they go out, everybody's looking at them. Everybody's admiring their appearances. Yes, that happens, but that's not me. I might be a playful, goofy person, and that is who I am. I'm not that tall, dark and handsome, or tall, successful, confident person that's always wearing suits and just in this corporate lifestyle, or living this corporate lifestyle and flamboyant and all of those things. That's not me. I might be somebody that enjoys arts and crafts. I'm somebody that might enjoy sitting on the couch and play video games. Again, I'm not advocating for being lazy. I'm advocating for being authentically, truly who you are supposed to be. Whatever makes you happy. If that is sleeping in till 9 o'clock in the morning, that's who you are supposed to be. It's complete rubbish to expect everybody to follow a certain recipe to say that only when you get up at 5, then you're successful. Only when you get up at 5, then you'll be happy. Only when you stop playing video games, then you'll be happy and successful. That's absolute rubbish. What's the counter to being successful is trying to be somebody that you're not. Looking at that person getting up at 5 o'clock and saying, I need to be like that. I need to be that person in order to be successful in life. If you're trying to be that, which you are not, then you are guaranteed to be unsuccessful in any case. It doesn't matter if you're getting up at 5 for the next 12 months, or if you go to the gym for the next 12 months. Yes, you'll get a certain level of result by just forcing it, but I guarantee you will revert back to the way you are at the moment, or that you've been the majority of your life, because you're trying to be somebody else that you're not. So accepting yourself for who you are, that is when you basically get to that point where you get into the right frequency, because at that point is where you can authentically start loving yourself. Because if you're trying to be somebody else, if you're trying to imitate somebody else, that means you're not happy with your body. That means you're unhappy, and in actual fact, the reason why you're eating unhealthy, and I'm not saying continue eating unhealthy, I'm just saying be yourself, because the reason why you're not eating healthy food, and the reason why you're not getting exercise or not getting enough sleep or whatever the case might be, is because you're subconsciously punishing your own body. And you might have adopted the idea or an excuse to say that, oh, but I'm an emotional eater, and when I stress, I eat, or I love food, I'm a foodie, and that's why I eat. That might be the case, but in most cases, if you're trying to lose weight, but coming up with the excuse that I'm a foodie, I love food, or I'm an emotional eater, when I feel anxious, then I eat, or any of those kinds of things, that just means that you're trying to find an excuse, and you're not willing to accept the fact that you are subconsciously punishing yourself. You're punishing your own body because you're unhappy with it. And only once you start accepting the fact that you might be different, you might be this goofball that's playful, that's not the serious corporate tall person. You might have curly hair or whatever the case might be, but just say to yourself, that's me. That's who I am. And once you start accepting yourself, then you'll stop putting yourself in situations, or finding yourself in situations, and the law of attraction will stop reflecting that back to you. The law of attraction will stop giving you scenarios and situations where that is reflected back to you by a mother-in-law or a sister-in-law or an uncle or an aunt or a friend or whatever, making those subtle, horrible remarks about your lifestyle and your choices. And what will happen is, automatically, when you start accepting yourself who you are, whether you're short or tall, small hands, big hands, it doesn't matter. Once you start accepting yourself for who you were made to be, that's when you start loving yourself. And that is when automatically you'll start making the right choices, because now you're doing it out of love for yourself. You're not doing it for that external validation and trying to be somebody that you're not. Because in most cases, people define it as, oh, I just want to lose weight. Yet, if you delve deeper and if you can go for like deep psychoanalytics, then you'll find that you might not be happy with your height, or the your bone structure, or your nose, or your hair, or the color of your skin, or whatever the case might be. And then that will result in you not loving yourself, you treating yourself in an unhealthy way, and then you gaining some unnecessary weight. And then that's something like quantifiable, intangible, that you can hold on to and say, but that's the reason why I'm unhappy. It's because I'm overweight. But it might not be underlying the actual reason where it started off with. It might have been where you look at the outside world and say, in order to be accepted and admired, I need to have a certain height. I need to wear a certain type of clothes, or whatever the case might be, or have a certain eye color, or shape chin, or whatever the case might be. So at that point is when you start accepting all of those other facts about yourself and saying that I'm an individual person. That's the way I was made. And I actually love myself for it. And yes, as I said, I admire that person, but that's not me. And that's the point where you start loving yourself and you actually start treating yourself in that way. That's when automatically it won't feel like a punishment to eat healthy food. You'll actually even unconsciously do that, because you now feel a newfound sense of love for yourself. You'll actually want to get enough sleep. You'll actually want to, automatically, it just happens where you start getting more exercise. And it's not because active exercise, it might not be active exercise where you now need to go to the gym because you feel great, but it's because you feel more empowered. So now just your regular day-to-day life will be more active. You'll get up more. You won't be lazy. You'll find yourself just being a lot more active in your day-to-day living, because you've got this newfound respect for your body and for yourself, for your being. And that's when things will just automatically start happening for you, and you'll actually lose the weight that you've always been pushing against and trying to lose on a conscious level. That will just subconsciously or unconsciously happen. And the way that you almost measure this, whether you're on that vibration, that much needed vibration that you need to be on, that loving myself type of vibration, is if you feel any form of urgency, if you've got a wedding that's coming up, whether it's your own or somebody else's, and you say, but this is happening in 2 months, and I hope this technique works because I need to lose this weight in 2 months. Then don't bother watching this video any further. Don't bother using these techniques, because what's going to happen is you won't get the results, and you're going to say, but this technique doesn't work, and you might leave a comment saying that it's all rubbish, and which is great, which is fine in any case. I don't care for that, but it's not going to work if you're timeline driven. It's not going to work if you've got the sense of urgency. You need to get to a point where you say, I love myself. I want to be who I am authentically. And yes, I'd like to lose some weight because that's good for my body, and I'll feel better and I'll have more energy. And even if that takes me 5 years, I don't care. If it takes me a month, if it takes me 5 years or 10 years, I don't care. Whatever that version of me looks like, whether it's extremely muscular or slim or skinny or chubby or fat or whatever it is, but I'm okay with living a healthy lifestyle, and then getting the results in due time, in whatever time frame will follow. Then you're on that right vibration, and law of attraction, you're not stonewalling it anymore, and law of attraction will start bringing you those things that you've always been after, which is ultimate fulfillment and just a healthy body. And a healthy body for one person will look different to a healthy body for another person. And that's also the part that you need to accept. You can't look at a supermodel and say, okay, but if I become healthy, I'm going to look exactly like that. You're going to look something completely different. You might still look a bit plumpy or short or skinny or no muscles or too many muscles or whatever. But you need to accept that you are different and that you will look different. And as soon as you realize that there's no time frame attached to it and that you've got no outcomes in mind of what exactly you need to look like or when it needs to happen, that is when you'll know, or when you can know with confidence that you are now in flow, you're on the right frequency, everything will happen the way it should be, and you'll actually achieve your results. So if I can leave you with like a summary of this, is that the affirmations, first of all, like law of attraction does work. First of all, it's not affirmations of I need to be a certain way and I need to envision a certain personality or certain profile, that I need to have the affirmations that I'm happy with myself and I'm happy with who I am, and to not have a timeline attached to it, not to be in any form of urgency, and truly be authentic with yourself. And once you get to that point, you'll be on the right frequency, and that is when law of attraction will happen for you. And I'm not saying that it will take 5 years. In actual fact, and I can speak from experience, I've watched my vibration shift from one extreme to the other extreme in a short amount of time, and instantly that is when results started happening for me in a very, very short amount of time. So if I say you need to be okay with it taking 5 years, I'm not saying that it's going to take 5 years. I'm just saying that you need to be okay with it. But I guarantee you it will happen much quicker than you actually think. And that's when you'll get the results. So if this technique is at any help to you, as I've mentioned earlier, if you're watching this video, it means that you've most probably watched a bunch of other videos as well, that you might have tried and didn't work for you. Try this method. If it still doesn't work for you, then I don't know. Then I just think that you're still outcomes driven and results driven. And because I guarantee you that once you start letting go of who you think you should be and allowing God's creation or the universe's creation to be all it was intended to be and designed to be, that's when you'll guaranteed get the results. So if you have any questions with regards to your own weight loss journey or your own law of attraction journey, having tried it, law of attraction and different techniques, and you're still struggling, or you still kind of don't understand everything that I've said today, which is, I've put it in plain simple terms for people to understand. But if you're still struggling, let me know. So write me an email. I'll leave my email address, or write a comment. Even if it's negative comments, I encourage those as well, because I need to know, as I always say, what type of crowd that I'm dealing with. And I'm just happy for any type of feedback, to be honest. Like, I've got no expectation of having any comments or any views on my videos whatsoever. I'm just authentically trying to share with you my experiences and my research into the law of attraction and application and the theories that I've come up with. And in order to maybe help one person out there, and if I can help more than one person out there, then I'm stoked, then I'm extremely satisfied. So if you've watched the video up until now, I thank you very much, and I really appreciate it. And all the best, and I'll see you in the next video.